Let's see which one. Which one? Which one? I think this. So, again, this morning when I woke up, God spoke to me. Again, the voice that you don't hear, but we all hear each other. It's not that kind of voice. It's not a booming voice. The only other way that I could really explain to it is the voice that talks to you and says when you're not doing something right, and it's tugging in your heart saying don't do that. That's the kind of voice I'm talking about. It's not like a booming voice. It's not like a voice of God like you see in the movies. I just scratched my knee really hard. So if you have a deep relationship with God, this will happen to you. So that's the only real way that I could explain it. And when it happens, you know it. Only you know it. The beauty of this relationship with God is that you don't really know how to explain it because it's so supernatural, okay? And there's not a way that human beings can really put it into words. So this morning, I was thinking about and what I'm reading and all that, being thankful, being grateful about being able to learn the Bible a lot better and just digging my roots a lot deeper into God and having that relationship deepen even more, because now I have a really good understanding. Unless you really read the Bible, which I've tried to avoid all my life, just so content about reading a verse here and there, and I'm also guilty about this. Like when I read a verse and it's like, oh, this applies to this person, this applies to my situation right now, a negative situation that I would really like for it to turn positive. There are times when in our humanity, there are things that we don't understand and we ask God, why haven't you helped me with this? Why haven't you done something? I'm being respectful to you, and I'm being very obedient, and I think I'm a good Christian, but why are you not doing something in my situation to make it better? And that's the kind of thing that we can't demand from God, because God will do it in his own time. So the best that we can do is just pray for whatever it is that we're seeking, whatever it is that the situation that we would like to make better, and leave it up to him. Once you've given it to God, it's like, don't take it back. Do not take it back, because he is the beginner and the finisher of all things, great and small. Anything that you see on earth, he began it and he will finish it. So there's no way that you can rush God. And if you think that God answered your prayer, it's because it's in his time. Like he knows that this is the best timing for you. So regardless of your circumstance, he gets it through my hard noggin here, regardless of my circumstance and regardless of how much I pray, and you just have to have faith. And that's the catalyst for everything, is having faith in God. And if you don't have that faith, you tend to retrieve it back after you've given it to him. Like, when you pray, I'll give it to you, God. I'm taking off my hands, giving it to your hands. It's on you, and you fix this, and in time he will. If it's along his will, if it's in line with his plans, then it'll happen. But if it's not, if it's selfish requests, like I just want her to realize, or I just want this person to realize that what she's doing is bad, and what she's doing is not right in God's eyes. You have no authority, okay? You have no authority, not one lick of authority in that kind of situation. You have no control over somebody else's salvation and somebody else's life, okay? And so when God says in the Bible, try to attract as many souls to come back to me, whatever he wants you to do, it's gonna be a general thing. Like the message that you put out there is gonna be a message for everybody that encompasses everyone, and it's not a specific thing. And what I mean by that is that you're not just trying to get someone to come back to God based on what you want, okay? It has to be based on what God wants. Because if you do that, okay, and I call these people verse abusers. There are people out there who will abuse the verses in the Bible and use it to their own benefit because they want to control the situation, and there's no way that anyone can control the situation when it comes to bringing people back to God. Only God can convict this person, okay? If they're not doing something right, or if they're Christian or they profess to be Christian, if they're not doing something right, only God can convict that person. Because that person, even if you impose your own agenda with them and your own narrative, they're not going to change. It's not going to change their mind if it's not in their heart, if God's not tugging at their heart. Don't be so arrogant to think that you have the authority to be a spokesperson for God with that person in between them, especially if they're Christian. They have their own relationship with God. So that relationship will do the work for that person. It's not you. You cannot be the catalyst for that, especially when you're not saying it to their face. If you're just using verses and throwing darts at them, this is the reason why people get turned off. Non-believers get turned off with Christians who are being self-righteous. God said you have to lead by example, not telling them what to do, not trying to nag them to do something and come back to God and do all that. This is why people get frustrated, non-believers, with Christians, because they are sometimes being very specific, and they're quoting verses in the Bible to throw darts at that person. You can't do that, okay? You cannot get in between God and that person. It's not your place. Do not play God in this situation, because you are now jeopardizing your own Christianity, and then you're the one that has to be accountable to God. So that's my spiel. I mean, that's all there is to it. He told me that, and I have a bone to pick with these people, because in my case, God told me to make videos, to make vlogs about my own experiences, my own testimony, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not telling you what to do. If you were this kind of person and you think that abusing verses, Bible verses, and throwing darts at people is something that God is telling you to do, be my guest. I'm not going to stop you from doing it. But if it's not, my advice is stop it. Stop it. Look in the mirror and take that big plank off your eye before you notice the speck in your brother's sister's eyes. That's like, look inside you before you throw darts at other people, because God will convict you. God will hold you accountable for that. And sometimes, to whom much is given, much is expected. If God if you are a Christian and if you're supposedly close to God and you have a relationship with God, God will expect more from you, and your he'll bring the hammer down on you a lot harder than he would to a non-believer, because you never know. The person that you're throwing darts at, they're not losing sleep over this. They're not losing sleep over you feeling the way you do, and making it known to them that this is how you feel. No, they're not losing sleep over this, because you don't know what the relationship between this person and God is. It could be, that that person is doing right by him, and he or she is on the straight and narrow with God. So you playing this arbitrator between God and this person makes you look like a freaking clown. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. And I would hate for an unbeliever to see this, because this is what turns them away. This is when you nag an unbeliever about saving their souls with God, you're just a banging gong, just like God said. And that's prideful. That's like trying to play the role of God. And God does not like that. He does not like that, because then you turn that person away even more, and it just like cements, and it reinforces the fact of what they've already believed going through life, that there either is no God, or God is not real, or God isn't for us. And you can't do that. Stop it. And it's like get me the pat. Like, once you've given it to God, that's all you can do. You pray for it to come through, but if God does not want that, if it's not according to his plan, he's not going to do it, no matter what you do. You should know this. You should know, as a Christian, you should know this, that God won't do something, it's not along his will. Okay, it's always God's will. It's always going to be the end all be all of everything. Pointing it out to them is like, even God doesn't judge people that way, because God understands that we are sinners. He knows that there's no way for us to be perfect. And good on you if you're living in the land of perfection. Good on you. It must be nice to be living there. It must be nice to be a citizen of perfect land. My pettiest pet peeve, if that's even a word. That's a word now. I used to. My pettiest pet peeve is when this type of person will try to convince other people who respect them, because they outwardly show that they have a perfect life, okay, that they have that they're in God's will and they're respected and all that. The pettiest pet peeve for me is for this type of person to use other people to now pass on the judgmental factor to the same person that they're trying to convict self-righteously. I'm sorry, but that doesn't fly with me. I do not like that, because I don't want to control people's relationship with God. I don't like. That's my pettest pet peeve. If that's a word, that's a word. It's like, like I can't like trying to convince other people, and even to the point where they're gossiping about that person and judging that person and saying, oh, she professes to be Christian, but then this is what she does, blah blah blah. And I will admit that I have done that in the past. I have done that in the past, because if you're trying to be a good Christian and you're trying to be on the straight and narrow with God, you expect other people to do it. But you know what? Because other people are sinners just like you really have no authority to make that happen. And if you're going to be talking about that person so that other people will be influenced against that same person, and then you're quoting the Bible verses, that just irks me to the core. It irks me to the core. Like, I can't. So that's my rant. And I hope that if you're this person, please really think about your conducting yourself. If this is what God has been telling you to do, I doubt it. But if it's what you think God is telling you to do, it may not be God. I mean, have you ever considered that maybe the reason why God has not done your bidding for you is because you're the one that needs to look at yourself in the mirror? And that's my rant. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate you being here. And if you have gotten this far, I really double appreciate it. You guys, you just don't know how much. And I hope that you keep coming back, and make sure you put in the comments how you feel about this, and what you think about the situation. I may be wrong, but again, I'm not taking instructions from a human being who is just as much as faltered as I am. I will take instructions from God, and I hear God's voice. I know God's voice. I know when he's talking to me, and when he's convicting me in my heart, and he's holding me accountable. I already know. I already know. Even if you don't think I do, I do. So that's my spiel, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. It's Friday. It's beautiful. It's gonna be a little bit hot this weekend. Gonna be on a trip next week, and I'm excited to go see my grandkids. And so you guys, I'm still gonna make videos. I love creating videos, even if no one's watching. Eventually people will find their way to my channel. And to all those people, if you found me today, I really appreciate you, and I love you to pieces. Bye.